This is the first in a series of interviews with former Guardsmen. We're beginning by talking with veterans of World War I, and we'll gradually work our way through World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, as well as smaller actions such as Just Cause that involved our Guard members. In this initial package, you'll meet two veterans of World War I. The first is McKinley Wooden. Mr. Wooden is the last survivor of Captain Harry S. Truman's Battery D, 129th Field Artillery from the First World War. Mr. Wooden was 100 years old when we made this interview in the fall of 1995. You'll also meet Mr. Elmer Rash, who was in the 35th Division in World War I. The 35th Division contained soldiers from both Kansas and Missouri. Mr. Rash was 97 years old when interviewed in the fall of 1995. Almost 80 years ago, these Guardsmen deployed to Europe. And today, we have members of the Missouri National Guard once again deployed to Europe as part of the Bosnian peace process.
I had the best saddle horse I ever had, a new saddle. I rode him down to Nevada, sold him, went back, got all my stuff in a suitcase, went down to Nevada to come to Kansas City to join the Army. And I went down to Convention Hall. There was recruiting down there for Battery D of the 129th Field Artillery. And that was the 11th day of June. I joined right there.
And why did you enlist?
Oh, hell, I didn't have no place else to go. I thought that I'd get along all right in there, so I just enlisted.
What outfit did you enlist in?
The National Guard, Kansas National Guard. And then we put in federal service August 5th, 1917. That's when they put us in the federal service and sent us down to Oklahoma. We was at Camp Donovan there. That's when the 35th Division there, there was about 43,000 of us in there. When we first started, we had them big Western hats on, see? And they had holes. They put a hole in the back end, put a string on it, you know. You could tie it around your neck, a chin strap. It went clear around it'd blow it off in them damn wind down there. You lost your hat, you didn't have no hat, and then you was in trouble. And they had this they called it the Chin Strap Division.
Chin Strap Division.
But it was the 35th Division.
What was Camp Donovan like at that time?
Just Perry. They built some little houses along, you know, and everything. That's when they had all that flu scare down there, you know. That was the hardest thing they ever do, and they made us take baths in the water run out from under the ice. You had to take a bath, too. She was rough in the Army then.
We boarded a ship. It was an English ship, the Saxonia. It had been a freighter, and they made a troop ship out of it. And so the English fed us on the road over there and everything. But we thought all they fed us was Australian jackrabbit. But one day they had a different deal on the bulletin board, American hash. We thought we'd have something new, but they just had a different recipe for jackrabbit. Well, we were 16 days crossing the pond. There was a big convoy of us. I don't know how many troop ships, and the Navy had big battle wagons all around, you know. See? Torpedoes, you know. That's what we landed in Liverpool, England. And after we got off the ship, then we got on a train and we went to a little town they called Manchester. Well, I don't know how long we was there, 4 or 5 days. And then we boarded a little old ship to cross the channel. I believe it was the name of the Viper. I believe it was. I won't say for sure for that. It's been a hell of a long time. And we got over there. We landed at Le Havre just about 6 o'clock in the morning. We got off and they put us out there in a rag tent, cinders, the dirtiest damn place you ever saw. We was there 3 or 4 days. Then they loaded us all on a boxcar, freight train, to Louvain down in southern France.
Walked us all over France before they could find out where we was going to go. Finally they got us set and we went in the battle there sat in the hill and Argonne Forest, too.
What do you remember about those battles?
Well, I can tell you, I wouldn't want to go through them again. There was 243 men in our company and 7 officers. And after the battle was over, we were supposed to be 7 days, but we stayed 21 days in there. There were 60 men, officers and all, that answered the roll call. Now, that don't mean they was all killed. Some of them was captured, some of them was lost, some of them here, but they shot us all to pieces. See, we were the first ones that went over. And I never will forget it. We went over the top just daylight, and they just shot us like jackrabbits, you know. They was waiting up. The Germans was waiting. We was kind of down on the hillside this way. And they had the machine guns and things up on this hill, and we took this hill, but they just murdered us taking that hill. The English had lost over 60,000 men to try and take that hill, never did it. And we went over the top just at daylight. It was about 7 o'clock. 2 hours later, we had old glory flying from the top of it, but they sure had them thinned out, but then, though. They was thinned out.
We was hid there in the brush, you know, and waiting for things to get along, and so we had orders by God to start firing 20 minutes after 8 on the 26th day of September, 1918. Well, Harry come down where the battery was. He says, "I'd rather be a commander of this battery than President of the United States." He was awful proud of the outfit. I don't see how he was, because I know we embarrassed him to be hell a lot of times. Well, like I say, I forget how many guns we had on that 20-mile front, but it just looked like the world was afire. And we kept it up till daylight the next morning. We had a little stuff to eat, and we started forward. We didn't have no opposition hardly that night. We just shot everything all through hell, apart from tangles and all, see. But the next day we run into it. Now, I mean, maybe. And we coming down a hill, and there was a big tree out there. The sun was shining. There was 18 American boys laying under the hill. They got up there out of the sun. See? But we went out through a little town called Shippey, and we made a turn. There was 2 boys standing there on the corner that belonged to the engineers, and I knew one of them in Kansas City. What do you think of that? Well, he says, if you don't get these guns up on the hill, the machine guns, you're going to kill all the infantry we got. We pulled around up the hill, you know, and there was an old orchard there, and we put a gun under each apple tree. See? Harry, he went on down, and he got an observation post. And by God, all we had to do was look down the barrel to his machine gun. There was some concrete, you know. There was a valley there, and there was a slope, and they was on this slope. We just pulled the trigger, and if we didn't get him the first shot, up he'd go the next shot, see? Well, we got rid of them. There was a German battery on our left that was holding the division back over there. I forget that. I believe it was the 34th, but I won't very vouch for that. And Harry located it with his glasses. We swung our guns around, we destroyed that whole goddamn battery. Just destroyed every one of them. Huh. Well, that night, by God, I guess it was getting around sundown. Things got kind of quiet. Harry come back up from his observation post, and he says, well, he says, we've sure done some execution today. About that time, a German plane came over. It began to get a little dark. You could see the fire out of his machine gun, you know, but he didn't hit nobody. Well, Harry moved us back about 100 yards, about 200 yards to the right. This cut in the road, you know, where the barrels of the guns just swung over the bank, see? And like that, in 15 minutes, they shot that orchard all to hell. You see, that plane gave her a location cut. If he hadn't done that, there wouldn't have been a damn one of us left.
They put us in the trenches about 7 o'clock at night. That's when I got scared. We just lay there in the trenches in them damn mud and water. And at 11 o'clock, we had a few guns going off between it. About 11, they turned on the little ones, what I call inches, 2 or 3 inch guns. And then about 1 o'clock, they got up to about 4 or 6 inches guns. And then at about 3:30, when they opened up the big old down them things that move you, they had them 14-inch, 16-inch guns. Some of them shooting 20 miles, behind, and all of them in front. And man, that battlefield lit up just like a, well, you could see in it, you could read the newspaper with all them lights they had in it, in them guns. And them shells, they don't look like anybody could live in them. They throwed chlorine gas on us, and when we was up in the mountains, and it was foggy that night anyway, see, and we had that gas mask over our face and eyes, and after you put that on, about 20 seconds, you can't see a damn thing. Well, it was, you know how them gas masks go, they got a little look. We'd push it in and wipe our eyes, try to see. It's just like a blind man up there, And we'd be wiping our eyes, and then somebody'd holler over there and scream. Well, we didn't know whether he's killed or what happened to him, see. It was rough in there. We had that chlorine gas. I got a little of it, not very much. Now, they did have mustard gas, but I never did see after I was picked up off the battlefield, and they sent me to one of them hospitals over there in France. I didn't stay long in it. I think I was in there about 10 days. And I seen some of the awfulest sights in that hospital I ever seen. I found a little old place where there'd been some ammunition shells, small arms, shells over here and about that wide. I spread my blankets down in there, and it's dark in there, of course, I went to sleep. Next morning I woke up, the sun was shining. There's a skull on this shelf, bullet here, skull on this shelf, bullet here, see? Looked outside, and this man's leg is sticking up out of the dirt. There's 35,000 men died there in 1914 on that hill, see? Which I don't know how big a hill it was. We had just a small sector of it, see? Well, we was there, I guess, I won't say just how many days, but on the morning of the 11th, we fired 50 rounds. And little did we think that would be the last at that time, see. Well, I met her, he had his dugout down my road about 150 yards. I met him out there, and he says, "McKinley, looky here." He had a white piece of paper about as big as your hand. Says, "Cease firing on all fronts, 11-11-11, General John J. Pershing." The first piece of paper I ever saw. I took it up there to made him walk up to where the guns was. He told the rest of the battery, and words can't express the feeling that come over the men. One morning it's killing people, and the next morning the world is at peace. By God, it's a hell of a feeling. And finally one old boy says, "When will we go home?" Well, like I say, we was on 10 days coming back. We pulled into New York on Easter Sunday, 19 and 19. The mayor had a welcoming committee out there, a boat, colors, bands, pretty girls. But what impressed me was the Statue of Liberty. And after we got on land, one of our boys turned around and says, "Old gal, if you ever look me in the face again, you'll have to turn around." Well, we pulled into Kansas City. Of course, the whole regiment was out of Kansas City except in replacement. And we went up to Convention Hall for lunch. The women all had a big dinner for us up there, And that was over, and then we went back to train, got on train. We started Camp Funston to be discharged. We got out there, and on the sixth day of May, 19 and 19, I got an honorable discharge and $60 bonus, exactly 25 months from the day that I left home to join the Army.
We think there's a lot to be learned by studying our history And who better to learn it from than the people who made that history? Their stories need to be preserved and shared. We hope that eventually we'll have some of this series in the National Guard Museum in Washington, D.C., as well as someday in a Missouri National Guard Museum here in Missouri. We also think these stories can be used as part of a living history program in Missouri schools, as well as used to help in our Missouri National Guard recruiting and public affairs efforts around the state. If you know of veterans with interesting stories, please contact us at the Stark Public Affairs section.
What was your mother and father's name?
My father's was named Roy L. Rash.
And your mother?
Minnie Lett, L-E-T-T.
Okay, where were they from?
Well, they was in Oklahoma. That was Indian Territory then, when I was born.
Is there a town nearby where you were born now? Or?
Yeah, Waukeeta, Oklahoma it is now.
Well,
W-A-K-I-T-A, Indian name.
Okay. Had your parents lived in Oklahoma quite a while, or Indian Territory, or?
Well, they lived, they lived there. Well, my father, mother both died down in there. Well, my mother died later on, but my father was killed there. He was a bronc rider, and a bronc throwed him and broke his neck when I was 5 years old.
Huh.
I don't hardly remember my father very much.
Did you stay in Indian Territory then with your mother for a while? Or?
Yeah, I went to, no, she was sick when I was in the hospital, and there was 4 of us. Oh, well, there's only 3 of us living, and they'd put us out to our uncle's.
Oh.
So my uncle whipped me when I was there about a year on something I didn't think that he had in life. So that night I got on my pony and took off, and I've been going ever since. And they hunted that whole Indian Territory, and they couldn't find me. Because, I knew them Indians, and they went into the Indian reservation hunting me, and I was in the chief's tent, and nobody can go in there but the President of the United States, nobody else. And they couldn't go in there, and I was in there, and they couldn't get a picture or nothing of me.
What was the chief's name?
Huh?
Well,
oh, I forgot it. He was in the Cherokee Nation.
Cherokee Nation. Well, what did you do after you ran away then?
Well, I just went out on my own, done everything, rode broncos or anything. Worked whatever I could get, or if I couldn't get one, of course I had my own couple of ponies, and I took them with me, and I'd go just here, there, and everywhere. Wherever I wanted to stop, I stopped.
How old were you when you...
Ran away? 9 years old.
9 years old? Huh. So, did you ever go to school after that?
No, I worked 2 years for people, and she was a school teacher, and she made me study a little bit, you know, there. And then she said I'd got enough to get in the 5th grade, and she put me in there, and I didn't want to stay, so I stayed there about 2 weeks, and then I went out one night and got on my horse. She ain't seen me since.
When did you come to Missouri?
Well, I come to Missouri after the First World War.
Oh, okay.
I was well, let's see, it was about 1920 when I come to Missouri.
We'll get to that in a little bit. When did you enlist in the Army?
In August the 5th, 1917.
Why did you enlist at that time?
In Kansas City.
Why did you enlist?
Oh, hell, I didn't have no place else to go. I thought that I'd get along all right in there, so I just enlisted.
What outfit did you enlist in?
The National Guard, Kansas National Guard. And then we put in federal service August 5th, 1917. That's when they put us in the federal service and sent us down to Oklahoma.
That was the same day you joined up then?
No.
No?
I joined up in I think it was February of 1917, and then they sent me. They didn't call me into service till August 5th, 1917, and then they sent me to Oklahoma to the Fort Sill. Of course, that was Fort Sill. We was in Camp Donovan down there, Camp Donovan, see, but they called it Fort Sill Reservation, see. They had several thousand acres there, Fort Sill, and, but we was at Camp Donovan there. That's when the 35th Division there, there was about 43,000 of us in there.
What was Camp Donovan like at that time?
Just prairie. They built some little houses along, you know, and everything. That's when they had all that flu scare down there, you know. That was the hardest thing they ever do, and they made us take baths in the water run out from under the ice. You had to take a bath, too. This was rough in the Army then.
What kind of training did you go through?
Well, we went through, we was there about, well, let's see. We was called in camp on August the 5th, 1917, and of course, some of us went ahead. Some of us left the last of December and went on to Europe to get set up for the rest of us, see? And the rest of us moved out in February, and we landed in France it was May the 9th, 1917. We went in August, you know, in 1917. And this was 1918, I guess. 1918, I'm getting that wrong. And then we discharged in 1919. We about 2 years.
What sort of uniforms did you wear at that time?
We had a OD uniform, wrap leggings, and when we first started, we had them big Western hats on, see? And they had holes. They put a hole in the back end, put a string on it, you know. You could tie it around your neck, a chin strap. It went clear around it'd blow it off, and them damn wind down there, you lost your hat, you didn't have no hat, and then you was in trouble. And they had this they called it the chin strap division.
Chin strap division.
But it was the 35th Division. Of course, that was just one of the funny things they had on it. And then they had, when we was going to France, they brought a lot of people off of these docks and things, and there was a lot of them rich people, and they had brand new hats, you know, and we didn't have nothing, see, and they was going to put us in there, and they had holes in the back of the head, just a little bit of hole in there, and they had to crawl it there, and we'd take our knife and go around. They had new hats, and we didn't. And we'd steal their hats. Oh, we was ordinary. We got new hats, so we left them the old one. We didn't steal them. We just swapped for them.
Now, was that on the ship on the way over to France?
Yeah, we didn't. The English went over on an English ship, and they didn't feed us nothing. Hell, we had billy goat, and hell, you couldn't eat that damn stuff.
Huh.
Sick. We robbed the canteen going over. We saw, hell, we eat them cookies and things. That's about all we had getting over there.
How long did the voyage take?
Well, we was on there 18 days going across. We went up, that's when the Germans had the submarines out there, and they was afraid to go straight over. So we went over there and went up by the coast of Scotland and down there along Scotland and between Scotland and Ireland, and hit England at Liverpool. You know, that's way in the north. And then we went clear across England to Southampton.
Yeah.
That was Southampton. Then we took a boat across the channel. See, it's only 14 miles across the channel there, to Le Havre, France, and that's where we landed.
Okay. Now, when you landed in France, what did you do right off?
Well, they put us on a hill there for about, well, all of us that we could. We stayed there about, I don't know, a week, and they went to Abbeville, France. And we went from Abbeville then on into the battles. They sent us out of there, you know, here and there, walked us all over France before they could find out where we was going to go. Finally, they got us set, and we went in the battle there. I was in the St. Mihiel and Argonne Forest, too. I was in Argonne Forest in 1918, I guess, when we was in them battles.
What do you remember about those battles?
Well, I can tell you I wouldn't want to go through them again. There was 243 men in our company and 7 officers. And after the battle was over, we were supposed to be 7 days, but we stayed 21 days in there. There were 60 men, officers and all, that answered the roll call. Now that don't mean they was all killed. Some of them was captured, some of them was lost, some of them here, but they shot us all to pieces. See, we were the first ones that went over. And I never will forget it. We went over the top just at daylight on August 5th, 1917. I don't mean 17, 18. And they just shot us like jackrabbits, you know. They was waiting up. The Germans was waiting, and we was kind of down on the hillside this way. And they had the machine guns and things up on this hill, and we took this hill, but they just murdered us taking that hill. The English had lost over 60,000 men to try and take that hill, never did it. And we went over the top just at daylight. It was about 7 o'clock. 2 hours later, we had Old Glory flying from the top of it, but they sure had them thinned out by then, though. They was thinned out.
You remember the name of the hill?
Yeah, it was, well, now, wait a minute. I had it a minute ago, now I can't think about it.
It might come to you here as we keep talking.
It might be later on as I think about it, but right now I can't bring it to mind.
What was your job in the unit?
I was everything. I was a sergeant one day, and the next I'd be a private. Maybe not that quick, but my discharges all up and down, see. I didn't want to be it. I'll tell you a reason why. Be a corporal or a sergeant, why, you have to take them men in battle. You have to give them order just like anything else, and they got to take it. I didn't want to kill a bunch of men. And when I'd get back out, they'd make me a corporal and then a sergeant right away and send me a line, and then I'd get drunk and get broke, you know, as soon as I get out. I didn't want to do that.
Huh.
My discharge was up and down.
Now, when you were in France, what was the name of the unit?
A Company, 137th Infantry.
You remember Captain Archie Rupert?
I sure do. He lived over here in Kansas City, Kansas.
He's still alive?
Well, I hope he is, because we's going to kill him.
Well, why was that?
Well, after we got out of the service, we took turnabout of doing guard duty on his house for 6 months. He never did come back to Kansas City. At his home, he's scared. Hell, we'd have killed him sure in hell.
Huh.
A bunch of us was out. We'd take turnabout going up there. Damn, we all had rifles too, you know.
Oh, did you bring your rifles home?
You damn right. They said we couldn't, but we did.
What was the problem with him?
Huh?
Why did you?
Well, we had we was over in France, see, and we was next to the French here, and the English was on this side, the French, we was in the middle. And we was in the mountains, the Vosges Mountains, and we was back here, and they had a line that come up through here, you know, with the French would take it up through this, and they had donkeys, little mules, and they had wine and stuff on it, and we was right next to here, and then the English on this side. See, we was between the English and there, and they'd come along. So them little donkeys, mules, they had a barrel on each side of them, you know, bringing that wine to the French. See, the French had to have the wine. Well, of course, United States wouldn't give us no wine. So we went out there, a bunch of them, and of course we was crazy kids, didn't know nothing. And instead of cutting they crawled out on this hillside from the back end of our lines, and these French would bring these here kegs of beer or wine, each on them little mules, one on each side. Well, instead of cutting them, the one up on top off, or I mean the one on the bottom, it would roll away. We cut the top off and rolled the mule and everything down. Mule went down the hill with the wine. And we got some of them wine, and then the officers in the 37th Division, they had a trial order that I don't think they ever done nothing to. They took a bunch out of each company, 3 or 4 men, and they swore that we, of course, I guess we all was in it, but they'd take them. And these boys, they went in the end of it. I guess they figured they wasn't as smart as there was in the front end, and they always get the end boys out of the ends, and they put them, took some of them, give them court-martial and things. They tried to make them tell, see, and they took a bunch of these boys and officers, done it, and beat the hell out of them one time, and that's when the trouble started. Oh. And we set the officers' tents. They had tents then. We sent them on fire, and I was a acting sergeant, and I was a fire marshal. See, and I told them that we ain't going to let them get no water on them all. You know, they had carts, and they'd put a squad of men, 2 or 3 in, like horses inside, and then the rest behind them, the rest push it, and they'd run them had these barrels on there with holes on it, you know, that's all they had in the camp. And I told all them boys, don't you let a damn one, when they went to our captain, we didn't like him at all. Said, don't let no water get on him. So I was in front. I was a sergeant leading them. And them guys was crazy. They was pushing and running. And I couldn't get the damn head water tank upset, see? So I laid down and run over me. I got a rib yet that still hurts. And I upset that water, and then the rest of them all piled up, see? And they burned all these damned officers' heads up.
Huh. Was that during the war or after the war?
No, that was just before we went in the war.
Just before you went in?
Yeah. Well, we'd been over there, but we hadn't went in battle yet. That was landed out right after we landed in France, see? And that.
Was that at La Har then, or someplace else?
Huh?
Was that at La Har or somewhere else?
No, that was up on the camp there, just above it.
Above La Har? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you remember any Missouri units?
Well, we was the Kansas, they called us the Kansas Jackrabbits, you know, because we used to lead them. And one time the Missouri outfit got ahead of us, and they'd start out on a small step of working slow, and then they'd get, and if you was back at that division, see, you was about a mile back. And when it hit us, we was running with our tongues out, you know. And boy, finally we got ahead of that. And you know, them guys didn't very many of them make that trip, because we'd go like hell a little bit and tell the officers we had a rest, see, and we had good officers. And we'd slow up a little bit, and then we'd run more. And we'd just whip that tail end. Oh, we'd Andre. But please. Get over there.
Yeah. What kind of rifle did you have?
When we went over there, we had the Winchesters.
Winchester.
306 Winchester. It was the best rifle. But when we got over to France, they took our rifles away from us. The Winchesters was cracked rifles. I made a sharpshooter's record with them. And then when they went over there, why, they took our rifles and give us Enfield. That was the English rifle. And the reason they said they do that, the barrel was 2 inches longer. And then if you put your bayonet on it, you know, where that made it about 4 inches longer than our Winchesters. And they said if you got it in fighting, well, them 3 or 4 inches would make all the difference in the world. And they was, because we did get in fight. We run clear out of bullets, and then all we had was our knives. We had our trench knives and these bayonets, you know, went on top of them. And that's all. And, you know, that did save life. But, of course, we was hot as the devil when they took our Springfields away from us. Because sometimes you get a Enfield that'd be half leaded on in it, and you couldn't stay here and hit the road over there with the damn things. You know, there was no just junk rifles. That's what there was.
What battle was that you had to use the bayonets and knives?
In the Argonne Forest.
Argonne Forest.
You've probably read about it.
Mm-hmm.
We went through that. We started in there, opened up. We was on the line there, and so, I think it was September, I know it was, when we went over the top. And we knowed we was going, but we didn't know when. They put us in the trenches about 7 o'clock at night. That's when I got scared. We just lay there in the trenches in them damn mud and water. And at 11 o'clock, we had a few guns going off between it. About 11, they turned on the little ones, what I call inches, 2, 3-inch guns. And about 1 o'clock, they got up to about 4 or 6 inches guns. And then at about 3:30, when they opened up with the big old down them things that move you, they had them 14-inch, 16-inch guns. Some of them shooting 20 miles, behind, and all of them in front. And man, that battlefield lit up just like you could see you could read the newspaper with all them lights they had in it, and them guns. And them shells that don't look like anybody could live in them, But I went out in no man's land and brought some boys that we got in there. They got out there and they caught them, and they had to stay out there in no man's land all day. And the next time they asked for volunteers to go out to get them. And when you come back, you see you had barbed wire. You ever see barbed wire? Mm-hmm. Goes this way, that way, and every way. And I couldn't remember anything. And I took a patrol out there and got a bunch of them. And we watched these Germans. We could see them in the daytime and true. And we went out there and they wanted to get us a German to come, or 2 or 3. We got a couple. And these Germans, we know when they was making squad seed, and the rest of them went away. They left the 2 men on 2 Germans there. And we slipped in there and hit them in the head with the rifles. Butt end of the rifles. And then we drug them back. And I don't think there's 2 bigger damn Germans in the army than we got. And we'd go, and we got caught out there in the field with these damn Germans trying to drive them back. They fired, and we had to stay all day out there with them 2 damn Germans out there in no man's land. Boy, there's every little bit they'd show a shell or 2 to see if we was awake, and they kept you awake all right. And we got back in the next time, and what was scared me, I was one of the leaders of the thing. They changed. Every night, your word to come back in, they always give you a word like Wabash or something. And it changed. And I was afraid, I know we wouldn't have that line and all of them. You got them little homes. Did you ever see a bunch of wire in front of a trench? Mm-hmm. They got years of one, you go back this way and maybe this way and that way. And they're in trenches. And then on the wires up in front of it. And you get in one of them trenches, hell, you just walk right into a bank. You don't know where you're going if you're there. And anyway, it was, we'd go out there and catch that German, and like I say, we come back, we had to hit one of them things. We hit the wire, and them can go, and our own men will turn the bullets on you. They'll turn their guns loose on you. And damn, we got caught in no man's land with that German. He's big as a bear. I had to stay all day and come in the next day with him. We got him in.
Got him in?
Yeah, we brought him in. Brought him for information,
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the German troops?
Huh?
What did you think of the German soldiers?
Oh, hell, they were good soldiers. Ain't no kidding about it. The Russians is nothing. Hell, you remember this year, Sergeant York had called all of them. Well, I happened to run a message from the lines back to headquarters, and I went through there, that Sergeant York, and I'll tell you how he got it. See, he brought 60 men in by himself. No goddamn man in the world can bring 60 fighting men in if they don't want to come. Don't tell me they can. And I come through there, and these guys, when they seen me coming, I was carrying the message. They all had throw their guns down, had their hands up. I could have got all of them I wanted. The hell, I told them, no, I can't take hits. I have to take that message on through. See, I couldn't take them. And that's the way he got them. They threw their gun down, and he come in, and he brought in, what was it, about 100, I think, of them.
Quite a few.
And hell, they ain't no one man going to take 100 soldiers if they don't want to go. 10 of them ain't going to take you.
These were Russians in the German army, or?
No, you mean what they captured? See, we'd tore them all to pieces. And these Germans was up with their hands up, and then, see, that's the way Sergeant York just rounded a whole bunch of them up and take it in. Of course, I don't want to take nothing from him. Hell, he's a soldier, he done all right. Maybe he's had some help, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. See, he marched a bunch of them in. But I seen other guys bringing them in. I was on the message, carrying a message from the lines up to the headquarters, and why they had their hands up in the air. No guns. I could have got all of them. One day, wanted me to take them, and no, hell, I ain't got no time, fool.
What about the French and the British troops?
Well, they was to all the pieces. They would, if we'd have been, some of them said, the officers said, if we'd have been 3 weeks later, they'd have been now we'd have been walking down Main Street, only we'd have been a goose stepping down Main Street, because they had them whipped. They had no question. England and France was whipped when we got over. We landed in there, and we went across the English Channel, and it was just rough as the devil. You see, we landed in Liverpool, and way up there by Scotland then, and then come clear through England, and then come across the Channel from Southampton to the Le Havre. That's only 14 miles across. That's the roughest son of a gun, them chips going like this, you know. And we was all sick when we landed there and everything else. It was a mess.
What kind of food?
And we finally got, we got, like I say, we was only just 14 miles across the Channel there from France. From England. We landed in France at Le Havre.
Once you got to France, what kind of food and rations did you have?
Hell, we didn't have nothing for a while. And then we finally got this English hardtack. Do you ever see it? Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard. It's a little kind of a biscuit, and it's hard as the devil. And we'd cut them.
Oh.
We would cut them things in two, and we had a little bacon. We'd fry that bacon, you know. We had them little cans of heat. They'd fry it a little, and we'd cut them, and then put them in that grease and cook them. And that's about the only way you could eat them damned hardtack.
Huh. How was the water?
Well, when we got up in the mountains, we could drink that water running out of the mountains. But we'd march right along and see tanks and things of water, and they'd say there was Germans poisoned them, and they wouldn't let us have a damn bit. And we'd be dying for water. But some of them did drink them. They didn't kill them. They just scared some of them. I drank some of it. Didn't kill me. Hell, when you get to having water and your lips start to bleeding, I'll do something.
Did you see many tanks?
Huh?
Did you see very many tanks?
Many tanks? No, I seen about, I think in the First World War I only seen 2. And they was over there, and everybody started running over there to them. And the Germans waited till they got all around there, and they turned everything. Pretty near killed all of them. Hell, none of the rest of us go. They let the tanks go by themselves. Hell, we wouldn't get close to them tanks, because the Germans had opened up everything they had on them tanks, trying to knock them out. Didn't have very many, you know.
What about airplanes?
Never seen none.
Never seen one.
They had these balloon associates. They'd send a balloon up to, for observation, see? And the Germans would shoot it down, they'd send another up, They didn't last long, but they had quite a few balloons going up every once in a while. They wouldn't be up there long till the Germans would be shooting at it, and they'd finally get it.
Huh. Let's see.
We had very little artillery, and very little support from the air. And the artillery, that mud in France, it rained all the time, just a small drizzle. And hell, you'd sink in that damn mud about that deep, and in there, and them big guns, that's why we got murdered so much. They could not get our guns up there to us, see. I've seen about, they'd have maybe a string of the horses on one of them cannons trying to get it up there, and they might be 8 or 9 horses on one side, and the rest 30, 40 men with ropes on it trying to pull them out of that mud. Hell, that mud sinks them old cannons. Is when you get in the mud, they're just like solid. You know, you can hardly move them. But we outrun our artillery, and we didn't have nothing but our rifles, and the Germans just throwing everything they had at us, you know. We didn't have no artillery back us, and we got too far ahead. That's why it killed a lot of us.
Did you see much use of hand grenades?
Oh yeah, you could get where you could get to them with hand grenades. You could thin them out all right, but otherwise you couldn't. Of course, there are a lot of shell holes there when I went over. People would go in there, and after, that was the thing that I objected to. I carried a message through there after the battle had stopped. And a lot of these here, Germans and things, are running these shell holes, you know, and then some of them big holes was opened up where they had a big trench in there and had a regular house and, you know, headquarters for them. And they run through there, and we found any number of them, and we just take it, open up our hand grenades and roll them in and just blow them all through pieces. Whoever was in there, that was too bad for him. It was rough.
Did you ever see Pershing?
I seen, after it was over with, yeah. We was on a road one time, and we'd fell out. We walked all over France. Hell, they didn't haul us. We walked like jackrabbits or mules or something and carried it. We had a pack. I had a pack that weighed 80 pounds. And then I had one of them automatic rifles. It weighed 18 pounds. And them shells, that was them old-time English, and they had a plate on top of it, you know. And if the plate was, as the shell would go, this here would go around, don't you see what I mean? And was on the belt, you see. So, and when that run off, why, you'd have another one to put on, and they weighed 9 pounds, and this other. And I had about 85 pounds to carry all through that damn mud.
So was that a British machine gun you had?
Yeah.
Carry a gas mask too, I guess, huh?
A gas mask?
Have what?
Did you have a gas mask?
Yeah, we had one, and that's what's the matter with my eyes a little bit. They throwed chlorine gas on us, and when we was up in the mountains, and it was foggy that night anyway, see, and we had that gas mask over our face and eyes, and after you put that on, about 20 seconds you can't see a damn thing. Well, it was, you know how them gas masks go, they got a little lower. We'd push it in and wipe our eyes, you know, try to see. It's just like a blind man up there, you know. And we'd be wiping our eyes, and then somebody'd holler over there and scream. Well, we didn't know whether he's killed or what happened to him. See, you know, it was rough in there. We had that chlorine gas. I got a little of it, not very much. Now, they did have mustard gas, but I never did see after I was picked up off the battlefield, and they sent me to one of them hospitals over there in France. I didn't stay long in it. I think I was in there about 10 days. And I seen some of the awfulest sights in that hospital I ever seen. I seen this mustard gas. You know, one guy in particular, he had to do something. He owned to had sense enough not to, but he dropped his pants down, sat down, and he sat in one of them low places, and that come in and took his whole, and all of his, I guess it, anyway, as far as I could see, all the meat in here was come off of him. They had a little stub of his thing left, but he didn't have no nuts left.
And so you were in the hospital because you had been gassed?
I was in the gas, yeah. But I was in there seeing them things in the hospital, see.
Were you ever wounded otherwise?
No, I just get exhausted.
Exhausted.
Nothing to eat till you go, and I was trying to carrying a message over, and they found me down. I couldn't get up. And they hauled me in this hospital. I didn't stay long in the hospital. And then after the hospital, when I got back to my outfit, we was getting ready to go in the St. Mihiel Drive, but we didn't make the drive. I seen St. Mihiel, but we didn't make the drive on it.
During these battles, did you serve with any Missourians on the left or right that you remember?
All together. Well, they went in there, like you say, they might be a company of Missourians here, and on this side Kansas, and on the other side German, and on the other side France. But after the battle, hell is all together. They never were. I slept on the battlefield. I was two of us, and we was wandering around, and there's an English officer there, and there's a French officer, and there's one of ours, I think he was a colonel. They were all huddled up there, and it was raining cold, and they didn't have a damn thing. And we had pretty well 3 or 4 blankets. And was it raining, and then we had our ponchos to throw over top. And we told them, hell, come on, we'll make it. And we put our ponchos down, and then all the officers and all of us crawled in there and put them ponchos and things over. We slept pretty good. One of them officers, after I got out, sent me a message, a letter, thanking us. Hell, we all huddled in there. Hell, an officer didn't mean nothing there. They didn't have nothing on them, to tell. Some of them did, some of the smart ones, but we didn't pay no attention to them. But the others, they didn't. Hell, they just like you or I. We'd tell them to go to hell if we didn't want to do what they said.
Were some of them from Missouri that you met, or?
Oh, well, of course, we was under the command of the English and French when we first got over there. They finally gave us our own officers, but for a while we was under the English and French.
You mean you had English and French officers?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
What about the language?
Well, hell, you can, if it has to, you'll learn enough of it quick to get by.
Do you remember meeting any Missourians at all during World War I?
No, I don't remember ever.
Okay.
Hell, you met everybody there. They're here now and gone, you don't pay much attention to them.
On your helmets, did you paint your division patch?
No, sir. Nothing on your helmet.
Okay.
Just a helmet. The funny thing, we was pretty close to the Germans, and we run them out, and after they broke the lines, they went back, and I guess that was their headquarters. And well, we hadn't had nothing to eat but just a little old hardtack for 2 or 3 days. So we went through there, and they went out, and I guess they left it, and they had one of them killed about like our GI cans, and it's full of stew. And hell, there was nothing else there, no pans or nothing. I went through there, and I seen that meat, and it smelled good. And I said, hell, they went out, it was still warm, they had to go in a hurry, and they left that, and I guess whoever they told to dump it didn't dump it, see. And they said, why, they might poison it. I said, well, hell, we're going to get killed anyway. I'm going to try. I took off a steel helmet and tore the inside of it out and dipped it in that stew, and I went out with that. I had all of that stew, and them guys, then they seen me, it wouldn't hurt me. They got rid of all that stew. We got to go. That's all we had in the battlefield, just what you discourage,
Was that a German helmet or an American helmet that you did?
It was our helmet.
American helmet, okay.
Yeah. tore the inside of it out and used it for a scoop and filled it full of We had pretty rough going up there. And mud was that deep. You get stuck in the mud, it was terrible.
When you were in combat there, what did you fear the most?
You mean fear?
I mean, yeah, what scared you the most?
I'll tell you what scared you most. Well, we went in the armed battle. We knowed we was going over the top. Well, they wouldn't let you have no watches, or you had them sealed up so you couldn't see them. You know, that might flash and call the enemy on us. We didn't, and we went in there a little after dark. And we didn't go over the top till daylight. And this is a God's fact if I ever told the truth. You laid there, and about the gun stopped, little gun started about 11 o'clock, 1 inch, 2 inch. About 2 o'clock, the little bigger ones went. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, them big son of a guns that tear off dirt. You could put a big truck in the holes that they left, you know, them old big ones. They'd dropping them bombs, and they'd go. They had what we called was the flying pigs. That's what hurt us in the line. I don't know. You ever hear that? Well, they look like one of our garbage cans, and they had some kind of a little jigger on the back. See, of course they threw them out of a gun, and they come over here and turning like a barrel. And what they were doing was tearing up the trenches. They had on each end of them, making a difference which end, they had a iron that comes out there like an auger. Well, when they'd hit like that, they'd go down in. When they exploded, they'd just level the trench for 8 or 10 feet, just fill it up. Soldiers in there, why, fill them up too. They just made it level. And we see that, you could see them coming. You know, they're stolen hell. We see one coming, another, we run up the other way. But they'd fill the trench, and then we'd dig our trench out again, you know. Oh, this place was rough.
Sounds like it.
And you talk about officers. Your sergeants is about the biggest. One time we had a lieutenant, and I'll say this for him. He stayed right with us all the time, but he was the only one I seen up there till we was over the battles. The rest of them was sergeant and corporals. That's what run a battle line. Sergeant and corporals. Them officers, they ain't going to get them pretty shiny badges all messed up. Boy, we was tough too. There, one officer said, "We're going to have you arrested." Hell, you ain't liable to get out of here. What are you talking about arresting us? He shut his mouth, he never opened it no more. We'd shoot him. That's right, there's a lot of our own officers got shot. They don't fool with them. One smart aleck, we took that all out of him right now. Hell, he didn't see us no more. And if he did, they'd have us up there. Why do we tell him, no, we never seen him. The hell, our were as good as his. Them days you could talk back to them and get away with it. I know, because I had some of it. I was from the South, you know it.
Yeah.
Black man was a nigger to me. All my folks come from down Alabama, you know.
Oh.
And they didn't call them black people, they called them niggers. And I called one of them officers a nigger. He liked it, brought the whole army down on me, but he didn't get away with it. I would have salute him.
Oh.
And there was 2 of these officers. There's 3 of us soldiers in a bunch down. We was at Lawton in the town. And these 2 fancy niggers was with their shiny buttons and everything come along. And we wouldn't shoot them, or wouldn't salute them. There's niggers, see. all puffed up there in their uniforms. We just walked by them. So they took us and going to make us. They was going to make us salute them. We didn't have to salute them. We told them we didn't have to salute. So they said we did. I told them, I got the first thing I got in the Army was a ritual, you know. The little book, you know, it shows everything. And I memorized it. I know what you could do, what you couldn't do. I said, no. These was nigger officers. We didn't salute them. They had us arrested. Took us in. So Major was that. And he said to me, I said, let me get in the front end. And I got in there's about 6 of us, and I got the head one, and they took me. And he said, this man said you didn't salute him. No, sir. Why? Because I didn't have to. Oh, yes, you did. You're in the Army. Oh, well, no, sir. He said, yeah, I said in this little book here, you have to salute the uniform. You don't say nothing about the man on the inside of it.
Huh.
He stopped and looked. He said, I guess you're right. And he said, well, maybe we can rectify that. So he made this, he was a major, and this colored guy was, made him take his uniform off and put it on the chair. I was a little smart. I'd kind of fed up on that. He said, you refuse to salute him? Yeah. Well, don't you know that they can put you in the pen for that? No. It don't say in my book. I told them right there, they had me up before the whole headquarters, you know, on officers. It don't say that I have to salute the man. It says I have to salute the uniform. He said, I'll fix that. So he made this nigger officer take his uniform off and hang it on the chair. And I had to stand up and salute it for 2 hours till I fell down.
Huh.
But I didn't have to salute the damn nigger. Oh, I was ornery. And that book that they gave me, the first thing I could remember stuff, I remembered all of that. And I know he couldn't do it. He didn't do it either. But I had to stand up there and salute that uniform over the back of a chair. He made him take it off, put it on the back of the chair. And I stood there 2 hours till, I fell down. Standing still. But I would have stayed there from now on there before I would have saluted the nigger.
What sort of decorations did you get when the war was over?
Didn't get any.
Didn't get any?
Hell no.
No?
I didn't want none.
Didn't want none?
No. I went over there to fight, not to play around. I didn't want no decorations.
When did you get home?
I was in there a little 2 years. I went in August in 1917, and I come back May the 9th, 1919.
Here to Kansas City?
Huh?
Here to Kansas City?
Yeah.
Was there a parade?
Oh, yeah, hell, we went from Kansas. See, I was in the Kansas National Guard, and then they put us in the Federal Army, and so we went over in Kansas, and we marched all up and down Minnesota Avenue, clear up the whole. It was 18 streets, you know, was in Hole, H-O-L-E. I think that was up there. That Minnesota wasn't built any further out than 18th Street then, you know.
It's Kansas City, Kansas? Or?
Yeah, and when we went in, we went up there and we done a lot of drilling and stuff out there in that damn sandburr patch, and I had sandburrs all over us. Boy, that was rough. You'd have to hit your belly right in them sandburrs. Yeah. That was rough.
What did you do after the war?
What?
What did you do after the war?
Why, hell, I just went out. They had a place where they're there, and they said, well, I went there, and they said they was putting ex-soldiers in. There was making a hospital up on the hill, and they was digging a trench, clear off that hill. And he said to me, there's a bunch of us, 6 or 7 of us, and he said, I was on the leader. He said, here's a shovel, you can dig from here. I said, I didn't come out here to dig in here, no damn door. And he said, well, you'll have to. I said, no, I don't have to. He said, yes, you did. I took that shovel and took a swing at his head, and he left there. And I took that other shovel, and I said to the other guy, you know where you can put it, don't you? I ain't going. And I went out, and all them men followed me. And they were going to arrest us and have us in hell. They didn't do nothing. They couldn't do nothing. They didn't have no authority to make us do nothing.
This was in...
That was after we was discharged.
Was that in the United States, or...?
Yeah, we was home.
Home?
Some smart aleck said we going to make us, they was building a hospital over there on the hill, and they're going to make us dig a damn ditch. They played hell of making us dig a ditch.
Was that in Kansas City, Kansas, then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dig no ditch, they dig their own damn ditches.
What sort of jobs did you have after World War I?
I didn't have nothing. They just give me my discharge, said there it is. That's nothing. I didn't have a damn job. Didn't have nothing.
Huh.
That's the way they turned us loose. Hell, I lived. I didn't need that. Good. Well, I think they did offer them jobs on digging this trench for this hospital. Hell with them. I didn't. I told them where they could put their shovels.
Huh.
I wasn't ornery. I wasn't bit back at all. When them officers said, I'll do it, I said, well, I'll just take you on, because I said, I just come out there where they shoot one another, so you get started. They left me alone. I would have.
Did you stay in the Kansas City area here?
Yeah. I went to work, stockyards. I worked down there 40 years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I killed 2 guys while I was down there.
Huh.
I ain't proud of it, but by damn, they don't want to jump on me and pull a knife, or they better be ready to go.
What did you do at the stockyards?
Oh, I was foreman down there. Done everything. I had some good bosses down there. I could get by pretty near with anything. Then I run a feedlot for 20 years down there.
Feedlot? Do you remember your first car?
Car?
Yeah.
Hell, I didn't know when hell, I was married before I ever had a car. I rode Broncos all the time. After I got out of the Army, I went into rodeoing.
Oh.
I was in there quite a while. I got all busted up. Finally, I didn't think I was getting enough money to get busted up, so I quit and tried something else. Jim Black down at the yards, me and him, after we went to stockyards, they'd buy them old wild horses, and on Thursday and Friday they didn't have nothing for too many to do, So the yard company would have them all. We got down there on, we call it Cinder Alley, under 23rd Street, back down there. That's all cinders. We'd take them horses, them old Broncos down there, and saddle them up and ride them, break them for the cowboys. The cowboys couldn't break them, but me and old Jim Black, you ask old Jim Black about that. He'll tell you the same thing.
Is he still alive too?
Huh?
Is he alive now, Jim Black?
Jim Black, he's here. I see him about every Friday. He bowls out here.
Did he serve in World War I?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I met him. After I got here, I got acquainted with him and everything. He was there. I think he served in probably the Second War. I think Jim, I never talked to Jim about that. We was too busy talking about Broncos and things like that. Jim, the stockyard buy a lot of them old Broncos out there, and then Thursday and Friday I was a foreman. They didn't have much to do, and we'd take them under the Cinderella on the 23rd Street dock, snub them up, saddle them up, and get on them. And they had one that's been throwing them, a little mare. They call it the Widowmaker. They just named her. You know these guys that name them anything. And she only weighed about 800 pounds. But the damn fool, when they go to saddle her, she'd swell up like a toad, and you didn't get it. And I had money bet on I could ride her. And you know, after I'd got on, they saddled her for me, and it looked like it was solid. But see, she'd put her air in, and then when I got on her, she let that damn air out, see, and that made a slack in it. And I knowed she was going, and I had this money bet, and I stayed right with it, and I rode the saddle. She bucked me in the saddle right off over her head, but I stayed. And then they didn't want to give my money to me. And you asked old Jim Black, and the hell we had to fight over the money after I got bucked over the damned old mare's head. But I rode her. I rode my saddle off. I said, hell, I can't ride them bareback. I have to ride them with a saddle. Rode my saddle right over her head. God damn mare, I could have killed her. But I wouldn't leave. I stayed with my saddle. And they didn't want to pay me, but I got my money. You asked old Jim. She knows, Jim, who I'm talking about. Because me and him broke a lot of them yard company. I worked down there 40 years, and they bought a lot of wild horses. And Thursday, Friday, they didn't need me. I was foreman, and he got off, and we'd go down there and ride them old Broncos for him just for fun, you know. Hell, I was skinned from one end to the other all the time. Knots all over me. That wasn't a matter. I got bucked off too many times on my head.
What do you attribute your long life to?
Huh?
What do you attribute your long life to?
Not taking no damn medicine and doing what I wanted to do. Hell, I didn't know what medicine was. If I'd cut my hand or something, I'd wrap it up and go on about it. I know I was out there one time, and you know them trees have sap in it? Mm-hmm. I was fooling with a knife and cut a big gash in my hand, and I just wrapped that there. Whatever comes out of them trees around it. Went on business. It got well. I didn't fool around.
If you had it all to do over again, would you do anything different?
No, hell, I had a good time with doing what I was doing. I wasn't there. The only thing I do, I wouldn't go through one of them battles again, though, for nothing in the world. They can all tell you about it, and what they do, and what they ain't gonna do a damn thing. They might do just opposite of what they said to do. I've seen them guys that tell how brave they was, they've been through it. But when they got in the Argonne battle, I seen them run like jackrabbits. Same goddamn guy was talking before. I didn't tell them nothing, I just done it. If I couldn't do it, I got hell knocked out of me, went on about my business. One old guy, I went across a German. There's a ditch there. And when I jumped this ditch, I didn't see this damn German in there. And he come up with the butt end of his rifle. I guess he didn't have no shells in it. And he hit me in there. That's when I lost a lot of teeth. And I went on, and hell, I went on battle of hell. Some of them was loose, I pulled them myself. And the rest of them, I had them. There's where I lost the most of my teeth. And then when I got out, why, they had some here and there and give me them. They never did work. So finally I went to a private place and had all full ones. I had false teeth ever since I was 30 years old.
Huh.
Yeah. I got a pair now that stays in good. But they're all knocked out.
What happened to the German?
Well, everyone they made good Germans out of him because they left him there. We didn't take no prisoners. if we didn't, if I could, I carried a message back one time. I seen a whole bunch of Germans. They done throwed their lines. We tore their lines all to pieces. And these Germans throwed their rifle coming and wanted me to take them in, you know, to the march them in. That's the way a lot of them did take a bunch of them in, see. And I said, nope, I didn't fool with them because I was carrying the messages. I didn't fool with them. I went right on in there. Of course, I done a lot of things in the Army that they could have court-martialed me and I never would have got out, but they did. One time, they made me mad after we was back in the lines. I was been out on a detail or something, and when I come in, that damn smart officer that we had, the second lieutenant, said, "You're on guard tonight." And I said, "Well, hell, I was on tonight, poor lass. We can't get anybody. They had a flu, and they had very many." He said, "We got to have any." I said, "Okay." So I was doing in the evening. I had a guard. I was in, I guess it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. See, we was on 2 and off 4, you know. I don't know what your Army does, but we do guard duty. We'd be on 2 and off 4. And I was on there, and I'd been drinking. And a French girl come along, some of them soldiers, and I tried to get them take my rifle. No. So 2 French girls come, and I said to Muddy over there, I said, "Would you help me catch them?" And he said, "Yeah." So they didn't run from us and they catch them. And we took our bandolier and put it overhead and give them my rifle, see? And we went off to one of them pubs, or they call you know them, where you drink, and we was in there drunk of the Lord, and they was out there doing guard duty. These 2 gals, and they come, and this officer was in charge, and he come in there and he said, "Rash, I'm going to put you in the guardhouse from now on." I was drunk, it didn't make no difference. And he took me down, and he never even put me in the guardhouse. He gave me a lecture, though, "Don't do that no more." Hell, that didn't help none. And I had this gal, this French gal, never will forget it. I called her over here, and they come. They was about half afraid of the soldiers. And I took that, put that gun over, put that bandolier around her, and give her that gun, put it on her shoulder, and then walked off and left her on guard.
Did she stay there?
No, I went to the saloon, got me some more drinking.
I mean, did the French girl stay there?
Yeah, she stayed there till the officers come along. They took the guns away from her. Then they hunted me up, put me in the guardhouse. I stayed there 3 days, and my officer come down, and he was a good guy.
What was his name?
Huh?
What was his name?
Lieutenant Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a good guy. And they got me out all right. I done a lot of crazy things in the Army, but it seemed like I got out of them all right. I was about half smart. When I first got in, I got that little book, and I read it till I knew what they was doing and what they couldn't do. I wouldn't give them nothing. Anyway, but the honors thing I ever done, see, they had some black soldiers, you know, in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma.
And they had brought these. They had 2 companies there at Fort Sill. They brought them from the islands. They was all American soldiers, but they was all black, and they had them there. They're doing Fort Sill there. They was there guarding Fort Sill, and we was in Camp Donovan right next to it, you know, and there was 40,000 of us down there training. There's just only a little in there. So we went to Lawton one time, and we had a prize fighter, and they had one too. And anyway, this whole bunch of them got on and kicked him all off, and there's a bunch of us in the lot, and there's 6 miles back to town, and them other monkeys guarded the road. We had buses or cars to haul us, and they wouldn't let them run, and we had to walk from there. Well, the next time, see, there was only about 5,000 of them, and there was 40-some thousand of us. So we went to town and we made them walk out. We wouldn't let them get them trolleys at all or nothing go out, and we made them walk out, see. And these 2 niggers, officers come down, and they was just a parading, you know, and big old shots. We would salute them. And they arrested the 3 of us. And they took me in. The only thing that hurt me, when they throwed me in the guardhouse, they throwed me in there. And hell, I skinned my knees and things up where I hit that damn cement floor. But we didn't, they're going to make us salute them. And we went in, the officers, they turned us into officers. And we went up before the board. And they asked us if we just saluted these officers. And my folks came from Alabama. I said, no. They said, why? I ain't going to salute no black man. First I said a nigger, and then they got on me, and I said a black man. And they said, yeah, if anybody wears a uniform, no, don't salute him. So the head officer, when I went up for the court-martial, they asked me why I wouldn't salute him. I said, well, I don't have to salute him. They said, I said, I don't salute him. I'm not going to salute the man inside. I salute the uniform. And they said, oh, well, and they made this nigger take his uniform off and put it on a chair, made me stand there till I fell down, saluting on up and down. I stayed there about 2 hours doing that till I fell over. And then they said, you was crazy. I was crazy. And I wouldn't salute that damn nigger. I wouldn't yet either. And I stayed there till I went down, and then they took it away, and that's all I ever heard of it. But I would salute that nigger. I didn't salute him either.
Huh.
No, sir. I'd have been there yet before I'd ever saluted a nigger. And I called him a nigger, and they said I couldn't do that, but I did. I was ornery, mean. Wasn't mean, I was stubborn. I made my way since I was 9 years old. And I was in the Indian reservation. And they even sent a bunch of the cavalry there to come through and went through that Indian Nation trying to find. They couldn't find me. No. I was in the chief's tent, and nobody but the President of the United States could go in there. He sat right in front of that tent with a double-barrel shotgun. They left him alone. I'm in there. Hey, doing all right. Stayed in there till they went away, the soldiers. They brought a whole damn platoon full of U.S. soldiers that were going to get me. They didn't get me.
How long did you stay on the reservation?
I stayed there till them damn soldiers that got new officers around there, so they left. And then I left. They never did bother me.
Huh.
My discharge is terrible. I used to go in battle, and I'd do something up there in the front lines, and they'd make me. Then when I'd get outside, I'd get drunk. And they'd break me again. My discharge is up and down. I didn't want to be a sergeant or corporal or nothing.
Yeah.
If you in the line, like I say, we was all in the shell hole, see? And I was acting corporal. And we had orders to go over the top. And I told them men flat out, I'm not going to give you orders. If you want to go, all right. If you don't, you stay here. Damned if I'm going to give you an order to go out there and get your head knocked off. And I didn't either. And I wouldn't be acting. I'd go out there, and next time when I got back, I'd get drunk, and then they would make me a private again.
When you told that to the men, did they stay or did they?
Yeah, I'd tell it to them. I'd tell it to the colonel or any of them. It didn't make no difference to me.
But, I mean, when you told them they could stay or go, what did they do?
Huh?
When you told the soldiers they could stay in the trench or go over the top?
Well, they stayed.
They stayed in the trench?
Yeah, stayed in the trench. Somebody and some guy come along and tell them to go, and they'd go. But I went with them. Hell, they'd do whatever I wanted them to do. Oh, I don't know. But the meanest thing I ever done, we got mad at the captain. And I was on the fire brigade. And they had one of these damn little carts, like just shafts in it, you know.
Yeah.
And wheels on it. And on the back end of this, kind of like a sled, they had a barrel of water. And they had some buckets there. And that was the fire brigade. And I was the head of the fire brigade. Of course, I was the head one. We had 3 of those barrels of water. And, you know, instead of having horses, they had the men. When the fire brigade would go, they had a squad of men, you know. And they'd be 2 or 3 or 4 in front and someone pushing, you know, on that barrel of water, see? And I was the corporal then. And they had about 2 o'clock in the morning, they called for the fire alarm went off. We had everything all ready, you know. We run out there and get it, and I come around the corner, and there was a captain's tent on fire. And I said to him, upset this damn wagon, and we was in front, you know. And they didn't do it. And I laid down, they run over like to kill me, and over my leg. And they upset the water, and they got all these, and they burned his damn captain. I wanted to burn it up before we get any water to him.
Was that Captain Rupert?
Yeah, that was Captain Rupert. He'd shoot me if he could find me. He got his hat. He burned all his clothes up and his uniform. And I upset that damn wagon.
You mentioned the Lieutenant Simpson. Was his name Wyndham?
Huh?
You mentioned the Lieutenant Simpson. Was that his first name?
William.
William. Okay. And then, did you get married after the war, you said?
Yeah, but it was a long time after the war.
You have children?
No, she had 2. I got to go on with this woman, and she didn't have nothing. And her husband, she only lived with him about 3 months, and she had a little boy, you know. And so they was having a hard time, so hell, I was putting loose. I didn't even further to get married, and so we went to Liberty. I was in the yard one time, and I don't know, I think I had a pair of overalls on or something, and a friend of mine come by, and she was over there with this little boy. So they wanted to know if we'd go. They was going to get married and down to Liberty, if we'd go and go down there and stand up for them, the best couple. And I said to her mom, I said, yeah, that's her picture up there on the wall.
Oh.
And we went down there, and damn if we standing up, and they said, well, why don't you get married? And I was half drunk anyway. I said, maybe it'd be all right. And by damn, I got married there and didn't ever figure about it. That's how I got married. And I lived with her 48 years, and we got along just fine. I guess just got along fine. Never had no trouble.
What was her name?
Huh?
What was her name?
Her name was Kelly.
Huh.
She was married before. She only lived, well, they was married 3 weeks till he was one of these wild kind, and he got in some trouble with a bunch, and they put him in the penitentiary. He was in the penitentiary when I married her, and I went down there and talked to him before, see if he wanted to go. He said no, he'd never go back. He didn't want to get married. He didn't there and everything. And so he had the baby, Hayden. That was my stepson. And he was only, about a year old, I guess, when I married her. That's her picture, my wife's picture up there on the wall.
What was her maiden name?
Huh?
What was her maiden name?
Well, now you got me. Hell, I forgot. It was, well, I'd have to ask Pat, her.
Okay.
Pat, my grandson, he's down in there. He knows who it was. He's got all the records.
What year did you get married?
I think it was in 20.
Okay.
I'm not sure, though. It could have been 21.
And when you went overseas on the ship, do you remember the name of the ship?
Yeah, the Carmala.
Okay. Do you have any photographs of yourself in uniform from World War I?
No, I don't know. I had some, but my daughter-in-law got bad. She took all of my pictures. There are over here in the
Memorial?
There, on the wall, they show where the 35th Division was going through. They throw our company, and you could see me in that. And then they had a dummy, another dummy, and they had my uniform. See that outfit up there at Memorial. They was wanting somebody, so they got my uniform, just regular uniform with leggings and everything on it, and they dressed a dummy up and had it right in front of the door. You know, it said Elmer Ash and give me the name and that and the history on it, and it stood right there when you went in. Why, you could see me standing there. I was 6'10". I'd shrinked a little since, and I was standing right there to meet them there. And they've got that uniform somewhere now. I don't know where it is. I give it the whole uniform they wanted it, and they'd put it on this dummy, see, and had it over there. Last I had a scene of it, it was over there right in as you go in. It was dressed on a mangut, and it was right there. I don't know, a lot of people seen it. Said Elmer Ash, you know, and give me the history, you know, on that.
Yeah, those other pictures you mentioned, is there any way to get some of those back to look at them?
Not as I know of. I don't know what went to.
Okay.